Hey guys, you don't want to miss this clip from the Dr. Cliff Show podcast.
So there was actually an article published in Hearing Tracker that talked about the hearing aid sales in the first quarter of 2023 and what the Hearing Industries Association, the HIA, had reported. And they saw a 9% increase in the first quarter of 2023, which is massive when you look at it. Really big. I think that other than coming out of the pandemic where there was pent-up demand for hearing aids, we have not seen numbers like that for over a decade or more at this point.
Probably not since, Bluetooth came out, right?
Exactly, which was what, 2013 or so? So yeah, about 10 years there. Yeah. So now one of the other key pieces of that is that that's actually now a combination of prescription hearing aids and OTC that they're starting to wrap up into it. So for any viewers who are not aware of OTC hearing aids and when that came out, it was actually October of 2022 that was officially finalized. And what that means is that now over-the-counter hearing aids are actually a category of devices. And so that has really made it to where they started tracking that data, but really the first full quarter is here in 2023, and that comprised 1% of those sales. Is that a lot?
No, it's not.
1% of the amount of hearing aids that we're talking about, it's a really, that number of hearing aids overall is a big number.
Yeah.
But we were expecting a much larger number than that.
I really was thinking that, maybe we'd have like 4%, 5%, something like that to really carve out, a big portion of people we were missing with hearing treatment, but I just don't feel like they had this grand opening to that market that they were really trying to get into.
And especially with all the publicity that came with OTC and how long it took and people were literally postponing treatment to essentially get to the point where, hey, I'm waiting for OTC. When it comes out, man, I'm buying it.
I think that the overarching goal of hitting a market that was not previously treating their hearing loss kind of fell a little flat.
Yeah.
And I wish that it had, a better penetration to the market as well.
Yeah, I think like you said, there's kind of a couple of ways to think about it. You could think that either there was going to be this massive breakthrough or the opposite. They're just getting started and they need some growth to kind of gain that trust in the public eye that they're actually worth investing your money in, because to be fair, a lot of these over-the-counter devices are still very expensive, which is still shocking to me because a lot of them still retail for $1,000, $2,000, like they're
$3,000.
Yeah, those are not inexpensive.
They're not inexpensive by any means. So I do think that there's the potential that they will either continue to grow in that segment of the market, or this was the best entrance they were going to have overall.
The 1% actually comes out to 13,000 units. Potentially 6,500 pairs.
Yeah.
Right?
And we're talking nationally in the first quarter. That's honestly super embarrassing then.
Well, I can tell you this. I, as an individual, as an audiologist who's had content created about DTC, OTC hearing devices for the past 6 years plus at this point, I have not seen a major demand because I affiliate these things and I sell these things directly. And I'm like, where are all the sales? I don't know where they are. I don't know who's buying these things. I want them to buy them, but they're not. And I don't know what is going to change that. We get a ton of people in who want the prescription devices, and it's very few and far between for OTC.
And truthfully, those who do even ask about OTC are not candidates for it. They're designed for adults, over 18, mild to moderate hearing loss. Anecdotally, by the time people come in really for a hearing evaluation, I'm not usually seeing the mild to moderate hearing loss. We're talking, moderately severe to severe in the high frequencies, right? I mean, these OTC devices wouldn't even be capable of hitting those kinds of targets.
Inside of the direct-to-consumer market, the return rates are 30 to 50%, where people will purchase OTC devices.
I would get fired.
You would.
Yes, I would get
fired. But they purchase these devices, they don't have success. I don't know what level of support that they're actually reaching out to acquire, because the companies that sell them don't force the service on you. And if they had it their way, they'd probably prefer you don't reach out for service, because then they have to have people there to help you. But they could take them into a hearing care professional and try to get them to work better. But 30 to 50% of the people who purchase OTC, they realize they're actually not a candidate. But when you start looking at the market of the individuals, the quantity of people who have a mild to moderate hearing loss versus having a moderately severe to profound level of hearing loss, it's like a pyramid. So the vast majority of the market is in the mild to moderate at the base of the pyramid, and then it gets much more narrow as you get to the top of the pyramid. Less people have a moderately severe to profound level of hearing loss. And so it would stand to reason that if everyone who has a mild to moderate hearing loss who could get some benefit from an OTC device, you would have it literally a massive shift.
You would have the largest portion of the market.
Yeah, but it so depends on that perception of, do I have a hearing loss? Because I mean, us three sitting here, we know that, you know, that gradually happens over time. The hearing loss is not something that typically just shows up overnight. So you don't have this massive, oh, well, suddenly today everything is different, right? And so these mild to moderate hearing losses, they go for a while before anybody perceives any, you know, a lot of significant difficulty that actually then leads them into doing anything about it, because a lot of people at that mild loss don't know they have one.
So obviously a 9% increase when you add the 8% with the 1%, 8% prescription, 1% OTC. I'm wondering why in the previous year hearing aid sales did not grow very much.
Didn't.
And so there's probably a couple variables that go into that.
Yeah, I think one reason is that people were waiting for OTC. A lot of people who thought, maybe I have these hearing difficulties, I don't know if I need hearing aids. If they had heard any of these talks of, ooh, we're almost there, because I mean, the initial legislation was supposed to have passed in 2017 and then pushed back. We had more important things like, I don't know, a global
COVID,
pandemic or something, you know.
Well, and then the other piece of that too is that we really didn't get new releases of prescriptive level hearing aids either until I think one of them came out like last September, which, you know, great technological advances, but then another like few were in the spring of 2023 as well. So during that first quarter,
and people wait.
Yeah,
people
well, and
wait
that's
for
the
that.
thing. Well, because even our recommendation, right? You know, if I'm not seeing that there's going to be enough of an advancement to justify you upgrading your hearing aids, I'm not going to recommend it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that you also had a lot of people, you know, who were ready to upgrade, waiting for the next to come out, because they do come out, you know, every 18 months or so.
You know, but obviously this 9% increase, something happened to where, just like the flip of a switch, we saw a massive increase in overall hearing aid sales. And I think that one could make the argument that maybe OTC is actually driving more prescription hearing aid sales. What would you say about that?
1,000,000%.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because we were talking about it too. I mean, by the time you perceive a level of difficulty with hearing, I would argue that most people will have a pretty significant hearing loss by that point, right? So they go and they try these over-the-counter devices, and, you know, I'm not having good success. Maybe I just need some help with them even, right? Or maybe I do need a hearing test, or maybe, you know, something is going on. So we're talking about it, and friends and family are talking about it, and, oh, please just try it because it's been in the news and all of those things.
I think the news has been the biggest part of it overall. We have seen every morning show has talked about it, and probably talked about it about 10 times before it was about to be released, when it was released, after it's been released. We're seeing ads. I was just at the gym the other night and I was seeing over-the-counter hearing aid ads on a commercial on TV.
I've never seen a prescription hearing aid commercial
I've
ever
never seen
on TV.
One. I've never seen one.
I haven't seen a commercial in a very long time in general.
I had friends reaching out to me, sending me articles. How do you feel about this? Like, people are seeing it again and again and again. So what's funny, I think, is that all of this hubbub was about OTC, and it sure got people talking about it, and it sure resonated with a lot of people, enough to the point where they did go get their hearing tested, and they did start having questions about their hearing. And now they're in prescriptive devices. And so I'm like, well, you sure marketed well. It worked well for the prescriptive hearing aid market for sure.
I think the moral of the story here is that it's great to have more hearing aid sales. That means that more people are treating their hearing loss now than ever before in history. So you might want to get on that bandwagon.
If you liked that clip, we'll have the full episode down in the description.